To bring peace to others, we must first bring peace to ourselves. To do so, we must learn to be still, to be silent. Let's look at Mary as she stands beneath the cross of her Son. It's clear from John's Gospel that she speaks not a word. At the foot of the cross, she is silent and still. It's interesting to note in the Passion of Jesus the striking contrast between the quiet stillness of those who love him and the ceaseless activity of his enemies, the high priests who are called together in haste at midnight. The traitor Judas runs to and fro. The Roman soldiers and temple guards march Jesus from place to place. The bustle in the palace of Pilate and Herod, and the franticness and frenzy of the Jewish mob. But the central figures are still. Jesus allows himself to be led here and there. Yes, but in himself, he is stillness. Mary follows to the end, but again, she is silent. She does nothing. She stands quietly beneath the cross of her Son. She is there. She is with him, not to do anything, only to love and to suffer and be still. There is something about this sorrowful mother, something absolutely essential that we must learn from her. In the book, The Man Born to be King, the character of Mary reminiscences about this moment. She says, "When he was small, I washed and fed him. I dressed him and combed his hair. When he cried, I comforted him. When he was hurt, I kissed his wounds to make the pain go away. And when darkness fell, I sung him to sleep. Now he collapses in the dust and his hair is tangled with thorns. They strip him in public under the afternoon sun and hammer nails into his flesh, and darkness is beginning to descend and cover him. There is nothing I can do. Nothing at all." It's a terrible thing. Something we must all at some time have suffered or are suffering even now. The feeling that someone you love is suffering, or the feeling of helplessness in the face of another's suffering. Like the experience of watching people who suffer from a hurricane and lose so much. You feel so helpless. And yet, these words of Mary are not set in despair, nor should we despair, because there is something we can learn from this sorrowful mother. There are two types of activities. First, there is the outgoing activity, the healing and comforting touch of our hands, the comfort of our words, the little acts of kindness that can bring temporary relief, the generosity of our donations sent to aid those in need. And sometimes these gestures are impossible. But there is a second activity, a purely inward posture, and this is always possible and is always healing. This is the activity of thought and love and sympathy. You may have to say, like Mary, "There is nothing I can do outwardly at this moment." But you will never have to say, "There is absolutely nothing I can do." Mary goes on to say in this story of the man who was born to be king, "Be still, sister, be still. We have no need of words, my son and I. Be still. Be still." The stillness and the silence of Mary are signs not of defeat, but of an intense and creative activity. Be still. There are times when you will learn that all your outward activity cannot heal, that only love can heal. So think more deeply. Be still and reflect more deeply. Love deeply. And I promise you, you will have no need of words, because your sympathy, your co-suffering, your silent love will go straight from your heart to the heart of the beloved. There is nothing Mary can do or say, but she and her son have no need of words at the cross. It is their silent loving that heals. You see, we are not blind materialists to suppose that physical distance is an inseparable barrier to help and healing. On the contrary, our spirits conquer space and time. Our spirits united to Christ have the power to heal and comfort others, as Mary teaches us as she silently stands at her son's cross. Gazing at Our Lady of Perpetual Help, I see again the sorrow in Mary's eyes. She knows the fear of her infant son and what he will have to suffer. And she knows our fears and our sufferings too. Once again, in this icon, she is silent and still. In the stillness of her posture and in the silence of her sorrowful, sympathetic eyes, she invites us to be still and come to her in the silence. She wants to hear our hearts speak, and she in turn speaks to us from her heart, assuring us of her love and her presence and compassion. She wants us to have confidence in her love so that we can ask her for what we need. Many miracles are attributed to this picture, physical cures and personal needs granted to many that seemed impossible were it not for Mary's intervention. These miracles are limited in scope compared to those whom God wills to reveal his healing power. But the one miracle that is as constant as water flowing from a fountain is the healing grace that pours out to everyone who is willing to come before her image and be still.